Good afternoon. The Nigerian Air Force has delivered what military officials are calling a significant blow to terrorist operations in Borno State, with airstrikes that have reportedly eliminated over 40 militants in a coordinated operation that took place in the northeastern region of the country. The strikes targeted known terrorist hideouts in areas that have long been strongholds for insurgent activities, marking one of the most decisive military actions in recent weeks as Nigeria continues its battle against extremism in the volatile northeast. According to military sources, the operation was carried out after extensive intelligence gathering and surveillance identified concentrations of terrorist fighters in remote locations within Borno State. The Air Force deployed fighter jets and attack helicopters to engage these targets, with the strikes occurring in the early hours to maximize the element of surprise and minimize the possibility of civilian casualties. The precision of the operation has been emphasized by military spokespersons who confirm that the targets were carefully selected based on credible intelligence reports that pinpointed the exact locations where terrorists had established camps and were planning further attacks against civilian populations and military installations. The aftermath of the airstrikes has revealed a substantial impact on the terrorist networks operating in the region. Military reconnaissance teams that moved into the affected areas after the strikes reported finding weapons caches, destroyed vehicles, and communication equipment among the debris. The elimination of over 40 fighters represents a considerable setback for the insurgent groups that have plagued Borno State and neighboring areas for years, disrupting communities, displacing families, and creating a humanitarian crisis that has affected millions of people across the Lake Chad Basin region. Borno State has been at the epicenter of Nigeria's security challenges for more than a decade, with various terrorist factions operating in the area and carrying out attacks that have claimed countless lives. The state capital, Maiduguri, has faced numerous attempted incursions, and rural communities have borne the brunt of raids, kidnappings, and forced recruitment by these militant groups. The latest airstrikes come as part of an intensified military campaign to reclaim territory and restore normalcy to areas that have been under the shadow of terrorism for far too long. What makes this operation particularly noteworthy is the coordination between different branches of the Nigerian military and intelligence services. Ground troops provided crucial information that helped the Air Force identify viable targets, while surveillance aircraft monitored movements in the days leading up to the strikes. This level of coordination suggests an evolution in Nigeria's counter-terrorism strategy, moving away from reactive responses to more proactive and intelligence-driven operations that aim to dismantle terrorist infrastructure before attacks can be launched. If you are finding this information valuable and you want to stay updated on important developments happening across Nigeria and beyond, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from this channel. The timing of these airstrikes also coincides with broader efforts by the Nigerian government to stabilize the northeast and create conditions that would allow displaced persons to return to their communities. Millions of people remain in camps for internally displaced persons across Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states, unable to return home because of the persistent threat from terrorist groups. Military successes like this recent operation are seen as essential steps toward creating the security environment necessary for reconstruction and resettlement to take hold. However, the fight against terrorism in northeastern Nigeria remains complex and multifaceted. Despite significant military operations over the years, terrorist groups have shown resilience, adapting their tactics and often melting back into civilian populations or retreating to difficult terrain where they can regroup. The Lake Chad region, with its islands, marshlands, and dense vegetation, provides natural cover that makes it challenging for conventional military forces to completely eliminate these threats. This is why air power has become increasingly important in the military strategy, allowing forces to reach areas that are difficult to access by land and to strike with precision against identified targets. The human cost of the insurgency in northeastern Nigeria cannot be overstated. Thousands of soldiers, police officers, and civilian defense forces have lost their lives in the fight against terrorism. Countless civilians have been killed, injured, or traumatized by attacks on their villages, markets, and places of worship. Children have been orphaned, families separated, and entire communities destroyed. Each military success brings hope that the tide may finally be turning, but residents of affected areas remain cautious, having experienced periods of relative calm followed by resurgences of violence in the past. International partners have also been involved in supporting Nigeria's counter-terrorism efforts, providing training, intelligence sharing, and equipment to enhance the capabilities of Nigerian forces. The fight against terrorism in the Lake Chad Basin is recognized as a regional challenge, with countries like Chad, Niger, and Cameroon all facing threats from groups that operate across borders. Multinational task forces have been established to coordinate responses, though challenges related to funding, logistics, and political differences have sometimes limited their effectiveness. As we process this news about the successful airstrikes in Borno State, it is important to remember that military victories alone will not solve the underlying issues that have allowed extremism to take root in the region. Poverty, lack of educational opportunities, weak governance, and feelings of marginalization have all contributed to creating environments where terrorist recruiters find willing listeners. Comprehensive approaches that combine security operations with development initiatives, education programs, and inclusive governance will be necessary to achieve lasting peace in northeastern Nigeria. The Nigerian military deserves recognition for this operation and for the continued sacrifices made by service members who put their lives on the line to protect their fellow citizens. As the nation moves forward, the hope is that operations like this will become part of a sustained effort that eventually allows Borno State and the entire Northeast to experience the peace and development that has eluded the region for too long. Stay connected with us for more updates on this developing story and other important news from across the country.